it could happen with probably not the first overall pick, but second or the third. At the very latest, you'll see something in the top 10 of the upcoming NFL draft that'll make you go, wow, that team is so stupid. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers. Comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also happen to cover the other two teams in town, the Penguins and the Pirates, and I offer daily shots of those every morning as well. The Steelers will, of course, be drafting at the number 21 slot, barring a move up or down. But there are moves in that range that get cast in a similar light. Number one reason for that is that as you watch the draft, which is very much a made-for-television event, you're hearing nonstop from people sharing with you what they think, not just of those picks, but of the general order of the class as it relates to how they thought it was going to go. So you will see and hear from these guys that there are picks that they'll categorize as a reach or as hopeful or even just as outright dumb, which is, it's not really all that logical. As I've made clear on this program several times, the amount of resources that one of the NFL's 32 franchises has when it comes to analyzing the draft, ranking the picks, learning who they are, gathering information, finding out about intangibles, potential character flaws, or vice versa, the positives. One team out of 32 has probably 100 times more resources than any expert or any combination of experts anywhere. The amount of people, the amount of resources, the amount of money that they put into this isn't something that any ESPN or whoever can concoct. So they should be better at this than any of the guys placing judgment on the picks. Now, does that mean the teams are all aces at this? No, of course not. They make mistakes with their picks. They make huge mistakes. And if you're one of those people who are inclined to give the Patriots credit for drafting Tom Brady in the 6th round, just remember that they passed on Brady through the first 5. So they blew it too. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times they said no to the most accomplished quarterback of all time. It's an inexact science, but it's absolutely a more exact science when a team is doing the studying as opposed to somebody like us on the outside. So let's go back to number 21. And let's say that the Steelers take a quarterback. And let's say that it's a quarterback who isn't seen by most of the outside experts as even first-round material. Let's say it's a quarterback who's ranked by one service, I saw it this week, as the 8th best quarterback in the draft. I'm pretty much pulling out of a hat here Will Howard. Not because I'm advocating that the Steelers take him, I just think he's an interesting case. For anyone unfamiliar with him, he was at Kansas State. He ended up transferring to Ohio State, got himself the opportunity of a lifetime, didn't necessarily acquit himself all that well in a couple of key regular season games, but then in the playoffs just took off. Showed all those leadership traits that had gotten him heavy praise on that count alone before he even got to Columbus. Put up big numbers, addressed some concerns. With every passing game, he got more complete and just kept on winning. Who is to say when his arrow stops pointing upward, to borrow from the Mike Tomlin vernacular? And on the other hand, who is to say, well, listen, Kenny Pickett just kept getting better and better at Pitt, and he culminated by winning an ACC championship. Who's to say that his arrow wasn't pointing upward? One thing I've done consistently in the weeks leading up to this draft is challenge the Steelers to out-scout, out-evaluate, and out everything everybody else when it comes to the quarterback position. I will continue to insist I would rather see best player available than a quarterback, but if you can set yourself up smartly, whether it's with a trade up or a trade down, when you think your guy will be available, get your guy and make sure he's your guy. I don't know that would have been the case with Pickett. There was too much about that situation that hit too close to home. And I don't just mean the obvious that Pickett was working daily out of the same facility. I mean, even something as intangible as Kevin Colbert entering that draft, promising essentially that he was going to retire by leaving Pittsburgh with its next franchise quarterback. That's too much. That's too much pressure on making the pick a certain position to the point where you would ever have taken Malik Willis seriously, for example. If there's someone like a Howard that you value, that you see that potential that's still there, or whether it's Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders falls, however the thing plays out, know those guys better than anybody, certainly better than the people doing the TV broadcast. And if it's the right slot, the right round, go ahead and get them. But do it with conviction. And for all the rest of us, it's going to be just wait and see. Because, speaking only for myself here, I'm not in a position to say, hey, you guys screwed up because Joe Slickhair up there on TV said you guys did. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
As promised yesterday on the program, I'm going to use the J1Q segment today to go over some of your feedback when I asked for three realistic, plausible things that you'd like to see between now and really the conclusion of the draft. Three things that would have you feeling good again about the Steelers, presuming you already don't. Kyle says, my hope for the next 10-plus days, DK, is that the Steelers trade George Pickens for a second-round pick. They then choose a defensive tackle, a running back, and a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds, and then a shot-in-the-dark QB on maybe Jackson Dart, and then another running back on day 3. And then Rodgers decides he's just going to retire because he wants to spend more time at the darkness retreats. Jack says he'd like to have a savvy football guy become the new president of football operations. Number 2 is a new defensive coordinator. See, this is what I meant by going way too far. And then 3, build the trenches on the D-line. I'm looking for specific stuff, but I just wanted to read Jack's to let you know that there was a bunch of that too. Like Art Rooney selling the team. I'm talking about 3 specific things just over these next 10-plus days. Pretty much what Kyle just offered. Ginkgo says, absolutely do not reach for a quarterback or really any other position. Stick to your board, draft best player available with just a slight weight on need. And finally, have the player play the position that he's best at and or has the most experience. I think they're going to start calling that one the DeMarvin layout rule. Justin has his 3. He says, number 1, as most of Steelers Nation seems to feel, I would love to see Mason Rudolph run out of that tunnel as the starter. Number 2, I'd like to see the Steelers trade back in the first, hopefully picking up that second-round pick. And 3, with the first 2 picks, I'd love to see a nose-capable defensive lineman that would open up moving Keanu Benton. Juan Alonso says, let's roll with Mason. That's his number 1. Number 2 is drafting help or a successor for Cam Hayward to keep him fresh and to keep high-quality play for the defensive line. And number 3 is to find the Wilsons of this year's draft. That's a neat way of putting the Steelers drafting Roman Wilson and Peyton Wilson. Peyton, of course, got onto the field. Roman, we're still searching for. Mark says, number 1, trade either Minkah Fitzpatrick or George Pickens to get more picks to add more talent. Number 2, roll with Mason Rudolph. And number 3, get a difference maker at running back. Well, they're getting a running back. I can assure you of that. Roman comes in with his 3. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers signs with us. Number 2, we trade back in round 1 to late 1 or early 2. And number 3, we draft a quarterback with that first pick. Preston says, number 1, Aaron Rodgers retires. Number 2, we go defensive tackle with the first round pick. And number 3, we get Jalen Milroe or Tyler Shuck in the second round after moving back out of the first. Lots of that sentiment. You don't often enter a draft with that many fans saying, need to get out of the first round. But I'm seeing, hearing, and reading an awful lot of that. AJ says, number 1, Rodgers retires and Mason is the starter. Number 2, best big man available in the first round, nose tackle or offensive line. AJ's the only one to mention the O-line. Number 3, Jalen Milroe in the third round is a gamble for his high athletic ceiling. Donald says, number 1, the Steelers announced they're going with Rudolph. You can see we're starting to form a pattern here. Number 2, Steelers draft a defensive lineman or 2. 3 is that they draft a quarterback, but then he puts in parentheses as an extra that they sign TJ Watt. The TJ thing is going to take a while. It's going to get done, but it's going to take a while. I'm not going to lie here. There was a lot more of these, but they sounded a lot like the ones I've already read, which isn't to suggest that everybody wants Mason Rudolph or everybody wants to trade out of the first round or that everybody wants a defensive tackle in the first round. But you can take those 3 things and safely summarize this terribly non-scientific survey in that way. I appreciate this. I love doing stuff like this. Maybe we'll do another one as we get closer to the draft, specifically related to the first round. All right, we'll get to that one next week. I appreciate everyone who wrote in. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Steelers. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.